The GallowgateShots podcast is sponsored by Tyre Spot, the North East's leading tyre supplier with branches across the region. Tyre Spot don't just do tyres, they cover everything from servicing to wheel alignment. They can handle every aspect of your car's maintenance. For more information, visit tyrespot.co.uk. Enjoy the episode.
Hi everybody, welcome back to the GallowgateShots YouTube and podcast channel. We are back with another match preview. We're going to put the Premier League to one side because that was honking at the weekend. And we are turning our attentions to probably one of our most important games of the season since the last most important game of the season, which was the last semi-final in the Carabao Cup before the final of the Carabao Cup 2 seasons ago. But it is Arsenal round 2 or leg 2 or however you want to call it. We go into this one with a 2-0 advantage. But yeah, this is the preview for that second leg. I'm Scott, I'm your host for this one, and I'm joined this week by Daryl and Nichol. Boys, we have just seen Arsenal dismantle Man City and beat them 5-1 was the final score.
Hang on, was it 5?
Yeah,
It was 5, wasn't it? Yeah, 5-1.
Who scored the last one?
Newari.
Oh God, it was 4 when I turned it off.
Yeah, he came on, code one in.
Help.
Well, how are we all feeling after that one, boys?
Not good.
I mean, we're still look. It's Newcastle, so obviously everyone's going to be a bit shaky about it. But let's look at it on what it is. We're 2-0 up.
Absolutely,
we played very well in the first leg.
We did.
We had their number, so all we've got to do is. I know I'm saying it's so easy. We've got to do it. Yeah, keep their number. Do it again.
Exactly.
And remember that even if we get a draw or get beat 1-0, then it's fine because we're still going to Wembley.
Absolutely. That's all we need to know. Right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you. No. Right. But it's Wednesday, the 5th of February. It's an 8 p.m. kickoff. And what is it, Daryl? It's under the lights at St. James's Park.
Yeah.
And if you didn't get tickets, you didn't win the ballot. As always, like me, every week, I don't think I've won a single one. No, I've got one in this cup, early doors. I got one of the early rounds, so hopefully, if we win this, that might do me in a good favour for getting a ticket.
I won the ballot for this one, you bugger.
But maybe he's not. You did win the ballot, didn't you? Anyway, I'll be able to watch it because I'm in the Netherlands and it's on Viaplay, like every other game is. But for you lot in the UK, it's on Sky this week. It's not on BBC or on the iPlayer. That's the one at the weekend.
Yes,
that's the Birmingham game. But this one's on Sky. It's on Main Event and Sky Sports Football if you're looking for it. So there you go. And like every week, I've got some commentator stats that don't make for good reading, but I do have some. I've only got a couple. This is the 4th time that Newcastle have hosted Arsenal in a cup competition. Arsenal have remained unbeaten in the first 3 visits, 1 win and 2 draws. So let's move on swiftly. This is the 5th time the two sides have been paired in this competition, with Newcastle not only losing the first 4 ties, but also failing to find the back of the net in those first 4 fixtures. The only victory against Arsenal in this competition was the first leg of this semi-final, where we won 2-0. So we're on to a good start here. But like I said, it was a win. It was 2-0 and we played very well. Daryl, mate, let's jump straight in and talk about that last game quickly, and then we'll talk about what we're looking towards. So we'll put the past behind her, and then we'll talk about that. So it was a 2-0 win at the Emirates. Isak and Gordon on the score sheet, and Arsenal kind of did everything but hit the back of the net.
Yeah, they had that chance. Was it
Havertz, wasn't it?
Havertz, yeah, and he just missed that chance, and then we were on top of it after that, and we got those 2 goals with Isak and Gordon, and we really took the onus to we really did convert our chances. It's something we've been a little bit guilty of not doing recently, but we found our form there to do that, and then obviously we got further into the game, and then we found ourselves with that infamous 5-5-0 formation after we took Isak and Gordon off, and then we just defended for our lives. And I think we're going to need to certainly defensively we're going to need to be on the same sort of level on Wednesday night, and it's going to take a monumental effort just because of the way we've seen Arsenal perform in the league since then, and obviously our little struggles that we're having in the last 2 home games. That's not to say that we can't come in and do it, because we've done it against the big boys already this season. We haven't lost to Arsenal yet this season, and we were in a good place. In fact, we've won the 2 games we've played against Arsenal so far this season.
Yeah.
So we seem to have their number a little bit on that, and like you said at the very start, we need to keep that number going into this. And I have no doubt in my mind that it's going to be a tough ask, and it's going to be a really difficult game. And I really hope, for me, that the atmosphere isn't on tenterhooks from the off. I think it could be a really nervy night, and it could be very reminiscent of the last semi-final in this competition when we brought Southampton back here, and that atmosphere was really tense for the most part until we scored that first goal. I have a feeling it could be a very similar story on Wednesday.
Yeah, just touching back on that first leg, Nichol. Obviously, Arsenal had 23 shots, 3 on target, and that kind of told the story of that game. I think they also had about 70% possession in that game, and Daryl mentioned the 5-5-0. You won't expect Newcastle to come out and just start with a 5-5-0, but if push comes to shove and it's 1-0, or God forbid it's 2-0, to Arsenal, we may need to resort to that, although that would then take it to penalties, because this will go to extra time and penalties if it's 2-0. We would only then need a goal though, so it's a tight balance of, do you then go all out and try and get that goal, or do you then hold off for penalties and try not to concede?
I think in this second leg, we're 2-0 up, and I think Eddie Howe's mentality of how he likes his teams to play, I don't think he's going to set them out sort of hoping not to concede. I think he'll just try and treat it as a one-off game, try and score, because if we score one, then we're 3-0 up, really. So
of course,
it's probably, attack is probably the best form of defense, certainly in the first half, maybe, because you don't really want to go in. The worst we could do is go down at half time 1-0 down, because then that second half, Daryl's mentioned, the crowd will be a nervous wreck, and then that'll probably filter down the players. So that's not really what we want. So if we just treat it like it's a one-off game, which it is, then I think we'll be fine. Because I remember in that first leg that the defense was monumental. Really, they were throwing the bodies in front of everything. You had Botman and Byrne at the back. I think it'll be Shaw and Byrne again. I think it'll probably be the same team that we saw against Fulham. But yeah, let's hope that we can. Because if we get an early goal, then the place will be rocking, and then it'll be sort of go from there.
We should treat it like the home game in the Premier League when we got that early goal and we won that game 1-0. That's how we should go into this.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned about the defence there, because obviously Botman was rested. Well, we assume he was rested, but he was on the bench at the weekend. Do you think that Daryl was with this game in mind? I know Nichol said he thinks it'll be Botman and Shaw and Byrne, but do you think Botman was maybe rested with this game in mind to give him that little bit extra kind of, just breathing space for this game and make sure he's, because he's had injury issues and he's looked a bit leggy at times throughout his return. Maybe Eddie Howe didn't want to give him 2 games in such close succession. Sacrifice the league a little bit, because this is arguably a more important game.
Yeah, I mean, this competition itself is an opportunity to get European football secured for next season. So, in terms of that, then yeah, and I think it's also an important, the squad rotation is an important thing to consider here, because, a rested and fully fit and ready to go Botman is going to be crucial in a game like this, where you're going to need somebody on top of the game. And I know he's coming back from that injury, but we saw in the first leg just how good he was. And it comes back to this old argument about having 2 left-footed centre halves that you keep hearing bandied about the place. And in that game, it didn't really faze us that much. And we dealt with it and we worked with that, and we kept that clean sheet. And I think it probably will be. I think he probably will make that change. To be fair, I think he will bring Botman back in I don't think he'll drop Dan Burn simply because Dan Burns just played like every single minute available to him this season. And it'll probably be better to have the advantage of having Fabian Schär to come on instead, and then shifting Botman over if Burn is the player that comes off, or if it's Botman that comes off for Schär's a straight swap. I think that is the key area, and I think also there might be a little bit of rotation in the rest of the squad as well.
Yeah, I think especially as well the fact that, you know, Dr. Evil's off to Juventus. And if you haven't seen the picture of Lloyd Kelly on that plane, he's dressed as Dr. Evil. And that's what I'm referencing there. But maybe that forced his hand a little bit at the weekend to rest Botman because, you know, yes, Lloyd Kelly came on, albeit for a cameo. He didn't really do much, but, you know, the rumours were milling. Obviously, the communication was there and it was all but done. But Eddie Howe obviously thought, well, I'm going to have to rest Botman a bit more because I probably can't use him and then rely on him for the cup and rely on Kelly for the cup because I won't have him. So he's had to think, right, and I've really only got 3 centre-halves fit. Although, you know, you could argue Kelly's come in as a left back, but he can't fit in at that spot as well. So, you know, that it's going to be interesting to see how he selects that. It'll be interesting to see for the rest of the season with that, but obviously we're going to focus more on this game. Take a little talk about Arsenal, Nichol. Obviously, you know, we've obviously just talked about what they've done today against Man City, but they do have some players out. I think it's Gabriel Jesus, Bukayo Saka. I don't know why I couldn't say Bukayo, and Ben White are all unavailable. I think they were, apart from Jesus, they were all unavailable for the first leg. And obviously one player who will be available was I can't remember his name now. Who we got sent off?
Lewis Skelly.
Lewis Skelly, that was it. Yeah, who's he got a couple of goals today, if I'm not mistaken. Or did he get a goal today?
One
goal.
The second one, I think, was it?
Yes. Yes, but Arsenal are quite famous for not having a pronounced striker, and they've now lost their striker. Although you wouldn't think it today for scoring 5. But that can only play in our favour a little bit because he hasn't been featuring much as a starting player. Jesus, he's normally comes off the bench and you know, causes us a bit of trouble and causes other teams a bit of trouble as well.
Yeah, he's an interesting one as a player, him, because for Man City he was a very good backup for years to like Aguero, but it hasn't really. And I think he went to Arsenal with the intention of being the main man, and he's not really done that. They normally they do play Havertz as a false 9. And I think the thing that lets him down, although he scored a good one against Man City, is finishing. We saw it against us when he had that header hit off his shoulder instead. I think that was the story of that first game for Arsenal. They just couldn't put the ball in the net. They did everything except score. So obviously they're going to try and do something different against us in the second leg. But I think yeah, the team that they'll play is probably the one that they've played against Man City. I know there was doubts about David Raya. I took him out of my fantasy team this week because I thought he was going to be injured, but he was fine. So he'll be
conceded though, so you did a good good job there anyway.
Yeah, he had. So yeah, he'll be in, and I think it'll just probably be the same team that they played against Man City today. Obviously full of talent, but let's hope we can just combat them on Wednesday night.
Yeah, Daryl, there's one looming question mark at the moment, and that's over Joe Linton. Apparently, and we are recording this before any press conferences. So if you're watching this on Tuesday after Eddie's press conference, and he's put wrong to the right or rights to the wrong or whatever has happened there, we don't know. This is Sunday we're recording this, as you can probably tell, as we're talking about the fresh after the Man City Arsenal game or the Arsenal Man City game. But Joe Linton is a potential doubt for this with a leg injury. Maybe one of them veins has popped. We don't know, but that's a doubt. That's a worry as well, because that midfield 3, maybe it's not this weekend, but that midfield 3 up until this weekend have been singing in perfect harmony. You would say.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of criticism has been levelled at Joe Linton for his ability not to keep hold of the ball when we're trying to transition into a counter attack, and he has been guilty of doing that. He certainly was guilty of doing that against Bournemouth, but then so were many of the other players on the pitch that day. But it has been a little bit noticeable that he seems to not be able to keep hold of it. He can get, by all means, he can get around, win it, and and keep hold of it and that. But when it comes to playing the key pass to start a counter attack off, he can't quite find his passing at the minute. The big worry is that there's not really anybody else in the squad can do the job that he does. It's a point that we've mentioned many times before in the past. And then obviously we had poor Joe Willock, who might as well just say it now, that the abuse that he got after Saturday's game was just deplorable, and we don't stand for that sort of thing here. And whoever did that can't be a true fan of the club. But he didn't have the best of times when he came on. I have a feeling that if Joe Linton isn't available, I'd like to see Lewis Miley in there instead as the replacement. I think just more than anything, just for Joe Willock's sake, is just to try and take him out of the spotlight of everything that happened post game on his social media channels. Just for that reason more than anything else. And then if we need to utilise him in the second half, by all means, get him on and get him running at that Arsenal team. But I think in terms of how to bring somebody in as similar, it's good. Lewis Miley's your closest match. He's a little bit more physical than he has been in the past. We've seen him. He looks completely different. He looks like he's aged about 10 years since last season. The way he's built his body up, and he's a bit more bulkier than he was. So he would be the more natural replacement for me. And you just hope that it doesn't upset the balance of the midfield, because that midfield's been our key in the recent run of form.
Yeah, that's the big issue, isn't it, Nichol? When you take someone like Joe Linton out of the side, we've seen it at the weekend. We've seen it before when Joe Linton comes off. We have to change our entire style of play in the middle, because there's no one in the league, or there's no one in Europe like Joe Linton who can just go in and be that bulldozer of a central midfielder that he is. Who, you could argue he does lose the ball a bit. He's not the best tactically on the ball or technically on the ball, but he can, when he wants to, turn it on, and he can keep hold of the ball. He can, muscle a player off the ball, and he is good with his feet when he wants to be. It's just maybe he can't pick a pass at the best of times. Daryl's mentioned Lewis Miley. There's an argument Sean Longstaff might be a good replacement because of just his defensive work and protecting that back line where we might need it as well.
Yeah, I remember Longstaff came on in the first leg. Actually, I think he was one of the first subs. So did Joe Willock, because he was sort of the striker of the 5-5. But yeah, I think obviously Joe Linton against Fulham on Saturday, it wasn't one of his best games. I didn't think. I thought in the first half, I thought he could have had 4 yellow cards. The way he was just chopping them about, and the ref was quite. He wasn't the best of ref on Saturday, but he was lenient with Joe Linton, I thought, in the first half. And when he got pulled off, I think he got pulled off about 55, 60 minutes. You don't often see him get subbed, really. So now, I assumed it was a tactical one, because I didn't think he was playing that well. But if you're saying he's potentially got a leg injury, then yeah, I think if we're looking at a replacement, it's going to be Longstaff or Willock. I don't think he'll put Miley in for a game of this magnitude. But let's hope Joe Linton's okay. I think if there's anyone in the squad who's going to battle through a small injury or whatever it is, I think it'll be Joe Linton. So yeah, I think he'll play on Wednesday, and I think he'll be fine. And then I think maybe if he does tire or some of that pain does come back, it will be Longstaff probably to come on, I would say, depending on what the score is.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? It's a Newcastle of the past would probably play him regardless, even if his leg's hanging off.
Yeah,
he'd probably be playing. But you don't know with Paul Bunsen what his mantra it would be now in terms of, well, you've got to think of the long term and that sort of stuff. But I think this game's too important to even consider that. I think if Joe Linton can stand up, Joe Linton's on that pitch, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I think he will be.
Absolutely, yeah. But yeah, I agree. It's just there's murmurs going around that maybe he's got a bit of an injury. Daryl, mate, there's another player who could potentially feature, and I'm thinking probably more on the bench. He's definitely not going to start, but that's Callum Wilson. He's due back. He was due back in January. It's now the 2nd of February, his time of recording. It'll be the 5th of February by the time of the game. So hopefully, Mr. Wilson, the transfer window will be shut. So, he could turn up. That's not a dig. Well, there's a little bit of a dig. Yeah, it's a dig. But, he will be back, hopefully. It'll be nice to have another option in attack. If we do go 5-5-0, it probably won't be needed. But you'd like to think at home we don't go 5-5-0. But here's hoping he can stay fit and give us a bit more of an option, because Isak, when he has a bad game, and he does have them, you do need someone to switch it up a bit, and you do just need that alternative option. And a game like this on Wednesday, if we are chasing a goal, say we're 2-0 down, and we do need to get that goal, and it's 75 minutes, 80 minutes, it hasn't been working. Maybe we need someone like Wilson who can just replace with Isak, and you can play that long ball in, and he can hold the ball up, and either generate a goal or hold the ball up so someone can run onto him.
Yeah,
it's going to be a perfect option.
Yeah, and Eddie mentioned it in the press conference pre-Fulham that Callum was back like with the group to train, and you would like to think he'll at least be able to make the bench on Wednesday. And like you say, it's great to have that option available. If anything, it might even fire. Not that he's needed to with the run of form he's been on by any means, but it just gives a little bit more fire to Alexander Isak to up his game and make sure he's, he doesn't give Eddie the option to make a change because he's going to be influential in the game. But yeah, absolutely right. Wilson is a different kind of striker to what Isak is, and he has that physicality. He can naturally hold off defenders, and he can battle and hold up the ball and bring other players into the game. And to be honest, it'll be quite a relief to see him as well. And we've not seen Willis Sule used that much, so I think Eddie would probably trust Wilson to use him more. And even to have the option of having them both on the bench just gives us a little bit more depth should anything go wrong.
Yeah, I think it's too big of a... From looking at Asula when he came on at the weekend, I don't think against Arsenal he would maybe be able to make that much of an impact. And that's not a dig at Asula. I just think he's too young and too inexperienced. I think the Arsenal team would just play straight through him. Because to me, he was chasing shadows. He was just chasing after anything he could. Because he's just trying too hard. And I think with Wilson, he can just read the game better. And he would do. I mean, he's got, 20 years on him in terms of the age gap from, where they are right now. So is it 20 years? Does that bad maths?
15 or 20 years.
15, 20 years, I don't know.
Yeah.
But he's got experience on him, right? So, that should be enough to warrant a start, maybe, 10 minutes at the end. Anyways, one thing I want to briefly touch on, and I'm talking brief here, and I don't believe this myself, but I want to ask the question and get the conversation flowing. And this is something I want people to comment on as well in the comments. I don't personally believe this, but given the fact that Arsenal are in the Champions League still, they're still in with a title race, and they are facing a 2-0 deficit, is there any chance at all they go into this game half-arsed? They sacrifice the game to we've already lost it. We don't really care about this competition because, let's be honest, some of the bigger clubs, they see the Carabao Cup as a secondary cup. It's not that big of a deal. And they just let this one go. Is there any chance of that at all? I'm going to leave this open to both of you to answer. I personally think no, but I'm asking the question to get the conversation.
I don't think so either. I think it's they're a big, they're a huge, one of the best teams in the country, and they're playing on all fronts. So I can't see why they wouldn't come into this game in full professional mode and at least, they'll come in and they'll have a go. They will try and win the game because it's the professional thing to do.
Yeah.
I wouldn't see them playing like a team full of, half a team of youngsters and half a team of senior players. I think that it'll just be a case of we're coming here to have a go, and we're going to be like what Eddie would always say in the press conference he'll put out a team that he thinks can win the game and to be competitive at the same time.
Yeah, I also think that it was only sort of a few weeks ago that, around the time where we beat them in the first leg, actually, where Arteta was under quite a bit of heat, actually, because is this his third season in charge of them? And I think he's only won one trophy, and I think that was the FA Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a big chance for him to win something this season because
true. Because they got knocked out the FA Cup, didn't they? Man,
yeah. They're out the FA Cup. The Champions League's obviously more difficult to do because they're already in the semi-finals of this competition, and then the league's looking. I mean, there's still a 6-point gap with a game in hand of Liverpool at the time of recording for the league. So yeah, I think they'll be wanting to come and get to the final. Anyone would though,
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, I totally agree. I'm just asking the question like I
Yeah.
always do to get the conversation flowing. But let me know in the comments what you think on that side of it as well. Daryl, mate, there's VAR on this one.
There is.
It's
Yeah.
like there wasn't the last one, but yeah, it's VAR now in this competition.
Oh.
So let us know who's in the VAR, who's in the man in the middle. Give us this week's ref watch.
Right. So, in terms of the referee for this one, it's Simon Hooper from Wiltshire. It's going to be his 4th Newcastle game of the season. Previous 3 have all been away from home. We've got the 2-1 loss at Chelsea, the 4-2 loss at Brentford, and then after the disappointing results there, we ended up with he was in charge of the 2-0 win down at Old Trafford against Man United. And his last outing at St James's Park was the 4-1 win against Chelsea all the way back in November of 2023. So fingers crossed we'll have some similar form with that on Wednesday night. His stats for this season, he's done 15 Premier League games, issuing 72 yellow cards and 2 reds. VAR for this one, it's actually the same man that was in charge of VAR for the first leg. It's John Brooks. And he also previously refereed the 1-0 win against Arsenal in the Premier League back in November. So there's a little bit of history there, a little bit of good form with these officials in charge. And also a reminder to everybody that for the first time at St James's Park, and like it was for the first time in the first leg down at the Emirates, we will have in-stadium announcements for certain decisions, so that the crowd will now be told what the decisions are and why the decisions have been made. So it's stuff like factual matters, accidental handball where the goal scorer touches the ball, or offsides where the attacker touches the ball, and also after any visits to the VAR monitor at pitch side.
That's if you can hear it on the PA system.
I think one might on our end, because if he puts it up to full volume, he might blow the speakers when he starts telling me that Kai Havertz touched the ball with his hand.
There we go. But also, that's if it gets used. Did we have it in the last game? They didn't use it. Yeah,
it didn't work in the first leg at all.
It got used in the
didn't-
Tottenham Liverpool
Yes.
one.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, they
I
used
didn't
it.
see that. Oh.
Just for one decision, though.
Yeah.
Well, it got used. It got used. There we go. So, boys, this is the big one. Time for our predictions.
Oh,
Who's that come to first? Who's looking the more nervous? Go on then, Nichol. What are you going for?
I can't call it.
I mean, it doesn't matter because it's not going to come true. Well, it might come true, but you've got no bearing on the game.
Yeah.
So just give us your prediction.
Yeah, right. Okay, come on then. Right, 2-1 Newcastle. So that's that 4-1 on aggregate.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
Nice.
Get your suit ready.
yeah. Well, yeah.
Get measured.
Get the trains in the hotel booked. Not that they weren't booked after the first leg.
I was going to say, what do you mean?
Yeah, it's already done. Yeah. Isaac double.
Boom.
Yeah, 2-1. We're going to Wembley, lads.
There we go. Daryl, mate.
Well, I'm
Oh
going
no!
to go.
Oh no!
Show again.
No.
Didn't start with well.
I'm going to go for the opposite of Nichol. I'm going to go for a 2-1 defeat, but then we'll still go through 3-2 on aggregate. And I think the crowd will be, like we said earlier, I think the crowd will be an absolute bag of nerves. And I think the place will be crapping its pants for the best part of the game. I think we'll probably get that early goal. Again, I'll probably put that down to Isaac, and then I should imagine that Arsenal will probably try and get back into it, and then we'll be holding on again towards the end, and everybody again will be like a nervous wreck. Nobody will have any fingernails or even finger ends left by the end of it. But we'll get ourselves through this game, and we'll go through 3-2.
Do you mean fingertips? I think finger ends is the right word.
Well, finger ends, fingertips, both. Yeah, the lot.
Okay, right. Well, I was saying we were going to get beat, but I'm not predicting 2 defeats on this. It's not going to happen. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw, which will get through. I think we'll get the early goal. And I mean early goal. I'm talking 2-3 minutes, which will settle the crowd. And it'll be jumping for the entire game. And I think Arsenal will get their goal way too late. I think it'll be like 80 minutes, which they're not scoring 2 in a short amount of time. It'll make it really nervy, and it'll make the last however many minutes of the game, given an injury time and all that, awful. But they're not
You'll have
scoring.
no finger ends left either.
No finger
You'll have
ends.
no you'll be down to your knuckles. Yeah, but I'm going for a 1-1 draw, and I'm going to go. I mean, you cannot not back Isak to score at the minute, so it's got to be Isak to get the goal.
Yeah. Yeah, and just a reminder I was going to say, just a reminder to anyone going to the game: war flags. Bring your scarf with you.
Yeah, get your scarves. There is a display as well, apparently, because someone was slagging them off, going, "Oh, more scarves," but they were like, "No, don't worry. There's a display as well." So I've got something planned as well. So bring your scarves and wave your flag if you've got a flag on your seat, or a foilie or whatever it is they're putting out this time. There will be something there. Right, let us know in the comments below what your predictions are going to be for this one. Are you looking forward to this? I don't know if I am. I don't like these midweek games when there's so much riding on them. Not when it's a late kickoff and all, 8 o'clock. I know it's only 15 minutes to what it normally is, but still, it's a late kickoff. It's 9 p.m. for me when it kicks off. Early morning. Nah, not happening. Let me know in the comments below what you think your predictions are going to be. How do you think the game's going to go? Are you looking forward to this? And if you're an Arsenal fan watching this, do you still want Isak? You're not getting him. The window's shut by the time you're watching this. You're not getting him. No. How do you think this is going to go? Is this cup important to you? Do you want to win this? Let me know in the comments below. While everyone is down there, if you want to hit the thumbs up button just to show your appreciation for this video, that will be great. And if you want to see more videos of ours in your feed, just hit the subscribe button. And if you want to be notified when those videos go live, you can hit the notification bell. If you want to go one step further, we can become a member. It's $2.99 a month, and that gets you early access to videos like this, as well as early access and exclusive access to certain podcasts and videos throughout the season. Boys, I don't get nervous for this sort of thing, but I'm not looking forward to this.
I'm already like the crowd's going to be for the most part of that game, man. I'm telling you.
I know. Well, let's put it this way: whatever happens. But
Queso
no. Do you know what it is? We're going to Wembley. We're going to Wembley.
See you on Wembley, mate. See you on Wembley.
We're going to Wembley.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully, let's see what the ballots are like for the Wembley tickets. But we will see us all in the next one. What is the next one? Birmingham FA Cup.
Birmingham on Saturday.
Another cup. Yeah, let's go to Wembley 3 times this season.
Yeah,
because you do get then the the semis of that cup competition, which is minging, by the way. But we'll talk about that in another preview. Anyway, see us all in the next one. We'll see us on Wembley way. Hopefully with 3 points. You don't get 3 points for this, but we'll see us with another victory. Bye everyone. Ta-da.
Bye.